Okay, so these are going to be the video directions for ACC number 6, parts 1, 2, and 3. As we've done in the other sections or the other problems, we're going to start in here on this home page. Again, I'm referencing period 2A in our Schoology account. We're going to look into the beginning SOLIDWORKS folder on the home page and expand that out with a left click. And today I want to work on ACC number 6. So going down the line, I see there's two separate pieces for ACC 6. I see ACC6.pdf. I see ACC6 Part 3 PDF. The first one is the part file that we need to build from. The second file will be when we do our drawing. So I'd like you to go to ACC6.pdf and left click. Now again, we cannot work within this Schoology environment with this 3D PDF file. So what we need to do is to come up here to the right and hit the word download. Now I want to open this with Adobe Acrobat Reader and hit OK. When this opens up, again, it'll tell us the 3D content has been disabled. So I'll go to my Options tab, drop this down, and hit Trust this document one time only. Now I have the ability to pick on any of my views. And I'm going to change the lighting on this by dropping this light down to bright light so we can see this a little better. So here's the part we're creating today. Now this is a pretty straightforward part. Really, it's not going to take very much. A couple new things that we'll go over, or a couple things. One will be a review. That will be our feature fill tool. And then we'll have to go over something new using 3D sketching tools. And the 3D sketching tools will allow us to complete this lower corner. This is not a loft. If you try a loft here, what will end up happening is it ends up having a little like a spoon effect on this left corner here. It will actually be kind of curved. So we have to go through here and do it through an extruded cut. But the only way to get that cut to work is to use our 3D sketching tools, and we'll show that today. So in this case, if we're looking at all of our views, from here's the front, our top, and our right side, logically it would be best to start with our front view. Again, rolling into this and going to bright light so we can see it better. What best would be do to start on the front plane and just create this outline that you see on the screen. Now I'm not going to worry about this angled line right here because that angled line will happen when we make our 3D cut. So I'm just going to draw this in a square shape using my line tool. I'm going to have that origin start right here in this lower left-hand corner. Now I need to make sure I know what units I'm using today. And if we look over here to our unit system, it tells me again mmgs, which indicates millimeters, grams, and seconds. That should automatically get you to realize this is going to be a metric part. Our material will also be manganese bronze, which is under our copper alloys. The last thing I want to pay attention to is this note here, which says all holes and slots are through all, unless shown otherwise. So what that's telling us is that this slot here in the top view and this hole here in the top view are all the way through. Now with that said, I'm going to go back to my front view. I'm going to go ahead and get my SOLIDWORKS up and running. And I'm going to start with a file new. Now I'm going to start with this as a metric part. So I'm going to highlight metric and hit OK. Now again, starting over here at the design tree, I'm going to highlight the front plane, and I'm going to go ahead, instead of going all the way up to this bar up here where it says sketch, I'm going to left click the word front plane, and I'm going to go right here to this very first symbol because I can start to sketch right here and minimize my mouse movement. So I'm going to left click that little symbol to start a new sketch. And the way I know I'm active in my sketch is I see that the origin went from blue to red. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start a line tool. I'm going to start right here in this origin area and pull to my right. I'm going to pull up, pull in, pull up at an angle, pull straight up, back beyond just a little bit beyond the origin, pull down, in, and finish with a left click back on the origin. Now I'm going to hit escape to turn my tool off and the F key to center everything up. Now I need to go in here and get some dimensions put on this. So I'm going to have to kind of reference this A, B, C, and D today. So right away, I see a D and a D on this height right here. Okay, and I see a 12 and a 26. I'm going to get those 4 on there. Now D for the first part is going to be 44. So going back to SOLIDWORKS and turning on my Smart Dimension, I will click on this right line, left click to get the modify box up, and hit 44, enter. I'll do the same to this line here, because again, this is letter D, 44, and enter. I'll hit this front line right here for a height of 12, enter. And this line right here for a distance of 26, enter. Now, going back to my drawing, I see that the height here from top to bottom is going to be B, which in this case will be 81. And then the height of this cutback here will be 26. So let's go ahead and add those on. So I'm going to start from the very top to the very bottom of the left click, pull out to my left, and left click again, and type in 81, enter. Now, I'm not going to panic here. Okay, it's shifted. All I'm going to do is grab this little piece right here and pull it back up so that it looks normal again. I'm going to take my smart dimension, hit this bottom line right here, and make this 26. Okay, so we're getting close to getting this done. So let's go back to our drawing. So I've got the 12, the 26, 81, 26, 44, and 44. Now the full length from from the back to the front is A. And A is going to be 104. In addition, this line right here at the bottom will be 104 minus 20. So let's add those two on. So I'm going to go from the very back to the very front, type in 104. Then I'm going to click on this line right here and I'm going to put in 104 minus 20 for a total distance of 84. Now, I see that I'm fully defined in two ways. I see the color of the lines are all black, indicating fully defined, but I also see it down here in this lower right corner where it says fully defined. So at this point, we're ready to take the next step, which is go to the feature toolbar and add some thickness to this. So I'm going to go to features, and we're going to do an extrude boss base to start this out. Now I need to kind of go back into my PDF file and look for another view that will tell me the overall thickness of this part. And if I look at this, I see that the total extrusion thickness is going to be the letter C. C on this first part is 60. So my first extrusion is going to be 60. So going here where it says 10, I'll highlight that, type 60, and enter. I'll hit my check mark. F key. Okay, blue indicates I don't have a material on there. So I'm going to go ahead and add this at this time. So I'm going to go up to where it says material not specified in our design tree, right click and go edit, minimize my steel folder, and I'm looking for my copper alloys. I will expand that folder out. In an alphabetical order, I'm looking for the word manganese bronze. I hit apply and then close. Now I'm going to go up here to this little TV right here, drop this down. I'm going to take the real view graphics off. I don't like the shadowing I'm seeing here. Too hard to see. So I'm going to turn that off so now I get this more brown shape. Now I'm going to go ahead and start on this top surface by highlighting it and turning on a new sketch. Okay, so when I click on this, I could do one of two things. Again, I could look here and start a new sketch right here, or go to your sketch bar here and turn on the word sketch. Either way will work. I'm going to left click sketch, hit my space bar, and do a normal 2. And what I'm going to do is now create this slot right here. So I'm going to turn on my slot tool, which is right below my corner rectangle tool. Starting up towards the top, left click and pull straight down. Left click and then pull left or right to create some thickness. Now I'm going to turn on my smart dimension tool, and looking at my drawing again, I will begin adding in some numbers. So the first thing I want to do is add in this 10, the 13, and the 10 in the corner. So going back to here, I'm going to go from this left side to the right side and pull up. I get 10. From this point right here to this edge here will be 10. And then from this center line to this back edge, pull down, this will be 13. Almost have it fully defined. The only number I need to add in here is a C minus 20 from this center to this center down here. So again, that'll be 60 minus 20. So going back to SolidWorks, I'll take from this point here to this point here and pull to my left. And I will type in 60 minus 20. Enter. Now I have a fully defined figure. That's perfect. So I'm going to go to spacebar and do an isometric view. Now remember, the note in here is that all slots and holes are through all. So going back to SOLIDWORKS, I'm going to go to my feature toolbar, extruded cut, and change it from blind to through all. Hit my check mark. Now I'm going to come to this surface right here and start another new sketch here. So I'm going to hit my sketch toolbar and hit sketch, do a space bar and a normal 2. And what I'm going to create here is this hole. So I'm going to draw a circle and then we'll dimension it to its place. So I'm going to go to my circle tool, draw a circle. Now I do know the circle has a diameter of 15. Going back into here, I see the distance from the center of the circle to this line to the left is d divided by 2. So it'll be 44 divided by 2. So I'm going to take from this point here to this line and pull down and do 44 division 2. Enter. I'm now going to look at the other one. It says C minus 18. So again, this will be 60 minus 18. That'll be from this center here to this bottom edge down here. Don't worry about the 50. The 50 references the cut. So we're going to do 60 minus 18. So from this point here to this line here, we're going to do 60 minus 18 and hit enter. Now again, I'll take my spacebar isometric, and we're looking at the note we saw earlier, all holes and slots are through all. So again, I will go to Features, Extruded Cut, drop this from blind to through all, and hit my green check mark. So now going back to our drawing here, we are very close to having this done. I need to add a couple more things. So the first thing I want to do is I want to round off these 3 corners, the corner off to the back right, back left, and front left. Or front right, depends on the way you're looking at it, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to round off these 3 corners. And I'm going to use a tool in this case called a feature fillet. So going back into SOLIDWORKS, go to your feature toolbar, and if you look about a little beyond halfway, there's a tool called fillet. So it creates rounded internal or external face along one or more edges, okay, on a solid surface. So I'm going to turn that on. And what I want to do is make sure I have my full preview on, but more importantly, I need to know how, what the radius of the fillet will be. So let's go back to that drawing and see if we can figure this out. So I'm looking at this view here, and that's my top view. And I see right here in this corner it says R10 TYP. That's telling me that all of these rounded corners have a radius of 10. So going back to SOLIDWORKS, I see that my radius right here is already at 10, so I have nothing to change there. Now what I want to do is start rounding off the edges. And rounding in a feature fillet is really, really easy. All you do is you highlight the line you want turned to a curve and left click. So now it's showing the preview of this being rounded off. I'll go to this corner here, same thing. And honestly, you can actually see through the part, but if you're having struggle getting there, hold your middle mouse button down and rotate till you can see this edge and left click. What we don't want to do is hit the entire face, because then if you see, everything gets rounded off. So what I want to do is just click on that face again to take that away. We only want these edges. Okay, as soon as you see all 3 of these showing round, hit the green check mark to the left. Spacebar isometric. All right, so we're really close. The last thing is to cut off this corner. Okay, now to do that, we're going to actually go into our sketch mode, but we're not going to just click on a face to start a sketch. Because if you click on a face and start a sketch, it's going to assume that you want to do a 2-dimensional sketch. All I want you to do right now is click on this down arrow, the drop-down menu, under the word sketch. And I want you to highlight the word 3D sketch and left click. Now what this is going to allow us to do is to draw sketches in all 3 orientations, front, top, and right side. So we can do some pretty elaborate designs here. This is going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to draw a triangle. And the way we're going to do that is use our line tool. And I'm going to take my line tool. I'm going to start by going right to this intersection between these 3 lines here and left click. I'm going to pull down this side. Now be careful when you get here because a lot of people will get stuck at that midpoint. Do not go there. Go just above it until you see this line turn orange. Left click and now start moving up this side over here, okay, towards this edge here. Now don't get caught on this point here or the midpoint. I've had students get caught on both of those. I want to get kind of right in between and left click. And then I'm going to pull straight across back to my starting point and left click number 3. Now deactivate your tool. You do the same thing as you've done before. You hit escape. Now I'm going to rotate this so you can kind of see what's going on. If you look carefully, you can see the sketch is in the 3rd dimension. Okay, it's not just flat. It actually has depth to it. Now, you can also see it's blue, so I need to add some dimensions. And there's 2 key dimensions, excuse me, I need to add. From this far point right here to this edge here, I'll pull out to my right and type in 50. Enter. From this bottom point of the triangle to one of these 2 bottom lines, I'll take this one here and pull out. This will be 25. Now, you can see at this point, I have this perfectly defined. I can see it's black and it says fully defined down here. This means I can do my extruded cut. So I'm going to go to Features, Extruded Cut, and what I want to do is do a through all. And then I'm just going to put my cursor anywhere inside this triangle and left click. It's going to take a moment to process, and then it will show you the preview. When you see it looking like this, go ahead and hit your green check mark. And now the corner is gone. Now let's go ahead and save this thing. So File, Save As. Okay, I'm going to call this ACC 6. Underscore part 1. Underscore last name. Enter. Okay. Now, looking at the mass, evaluate. Mass properties, I'm getting about 2342.37. Now I'm going to go ahead and print this. Now we still have a problem of people printing on full size 11 by 17 sheets of paper. So before you print anything, first thing I want you to do is go to the Properties tab on your printer. I want you to go to Effects and make sure that it says Printed Document on Letter, Scaled to Fit. As soon as you see that, hit OK. Make sure you're printing to L108 and hit OK. That should let it print on normal size paper. As soon as you got your paper, go back to the printer and brought back to your desk, go ahead and close this out. And let's go ahead and begin making our modifications for part number 2. So going back to the PDF file, I'm looking at part 2 here, and it looks like I need to change my A, B, C, and D to these numbers here. So going back, I see D is 52, C is 75, B is 90, and A is 112. So now I'm going to come back into SOLIDWORKS, and I'm going to work my way right through this design tree. I'm just going to go one branch at a time, look for those key numbers, and make changes. So I'm going to highlight Boss Extrude number 1, branch number 1. Now these 44s were our D, and if you look over here, that means D now turns to 52. So I'm going to double click this 44, type in 52. Now if it doesn't change, don't panic. We'll go up here in a moment and hit our rebuild at the top. I'm going to go to this 44 and change it to a 52. Okay, 104 is going to change from 104 to 112. So I'm going to go here and go 112, enter, and change this 84 to 112 minus 20. Total of 92. Oop, Control C. Okay, this 60 is C. That's going to go to 75. So I'm going to highlight that and change it to 75. 26 stays the same, 26 and 12 stay the same, but the 81 goes from 81 to 90. So I go back to here to this 81 and double click, type in 90, and then hit my rebuild button right here at the top, left click. Okay, so the size is right, but you'll notice my slot's not in the right spot and my hole is not in the right spot. So going back to my PDF file and looking at this top view here, I see that I need to change this right here. The 10, 13, and 10 stay the same, but I need to change the distance between these 2 points to C minus 20, which will be 75 minus 20. So going back up to my cut extrude number 1, I need to change this 40 to 75 minus 20. Enter. Now nothing happens, so I have to come back up to the top, see my rebuild button, and left click. And now my slot's in place. Going back to my PDF, I see the D divided by 2 has to change. In this case, it's 52 divided by 2. And that this distance here is C minus 18, which is 75 minus 18. So I'm going to go back to this cut extrude 2, change this 22 to 52 divided by 2. And this 42 is going to become, again, looking at it, C minus 18, which is 75 minus 18. Enter. Okay, now the whole, there we go, moved. I hit rebuild anyways just to check. At this point, it looks like this part is done. So I'm going to do a file, save as, ACC6, part 2, your last name, and hit save. Mass properties. Go ahead and hit, this case I get like 3652.59. I'll now go print, check my properties one more time to make sure under effects, print on letter, scale to fit. Hit OK, double check you're going to L108, and hit OK again. Now at this point, go ahead and go to the printer, grab your mass property sheet and bring it back to your desk, and then go ahead and close out this mass properties here. So now we're ready to move on to our final part, part 3. So we're going to change A to 96, B to 76, C to 70, and D to 36. So going back to here, I need to change these numbers here. So again, I will work my way on the tree, starting one branch at a time, starting with boss extrude number 1. Both of these 52s will change to 36. The back height will change to 76, so this 90 will become 76. The 112 becomes 96, so I'm going to go back to here, make that 96, and this becomes 96 minus 20. Okay, I'll hit my rebuild to fix everything. And then I got to look at my distance C for the thickness. Okay, C in this case will be 70. So going back into here again, I'm going to change this 75 to 70. Enter. And hit my rebuild. Continue ignore. Now what's happened here is nothing to panic about. Because it shrunk in, the computer is basically saying it's unable to create this feature because it would result in zero thickness geometry. What's happened here is that this original sketch has butter right up to this edge right here, and the computer doesn't know how to process it. All we need to do is change this one number here, and the slot will come back. So don't panic, it's gone. We just need to change this one dimension and rebuild it, and you'll watch the slot reappear. Now this right here, if we go back and look, is going to be in our top view, bright lights, C minus 20. So 70 minus 20. So I'm going to come back to here and put 70 minus 20. And when I hit enter, and then I hit the rebuild, you will watch the slot will reappear. Okay? The only thing that happened is when we shrunk this in, this edge right here was butted right up to here. And SOLIDWORKS doesn't understand. It can't process it. What it thinks is you have a very thin line there. It thinks it's there, zero thickness, and it can't cut zero thickness. Okay, so that's okay. Now I got to change this hole right here. It's obviously out of position. So now what I got to do is go to this cut extrude here. This one right here is D divided by 2, which is going to be 36 divided by 2. Enter. Okay, and then this one here is going to be C minus 18, and C today is going to be 70 minus 18. So I go here and double click this line, 70 minus 18. Enter. 52. I'm going to go ahead and hit my rebuild. And now my circle's back in its correct spot. At this point, I am done with ACC Part 3, or ACC 6 Part 3. So come up here to File, Save As, ACC 6 Part 3, hit Save. Mass Properties. I look at 2242.10. I hit Print. Again, I'm going to go to my Properties, Effects, Print Document on Letter, Scale to Fit, and say OK. Double check you're printing to the correct printer, in this case L108, and hit OK. Go collect your mass properties, bring it back to your desk, and go ahead and close out your mass properties here. So in our last step here is then to go back in. I'm going to go ahead and close this PDF file, go back to my home page, go ahead and go back into Beginning SOLIDWORKS, and open up ACC 6 Part 3 PDF file. Now again, I'm going to download this so I can see this as a full screen drawing. Open with, and OK. Maximize my screen view. All right, so basically I'm going to bring in a front, top, right side view at 1:1, and then I'm going to bring in another isometric view at a 1:2. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to do a File New, GHSB metric, and OK. F key to center the drawing up, and I'm going to go ahead right here and hit the arrow key, or just double click ACC Part 3. Same exact configuration and setup we've been doing for the last several drawings. I'm going to start with a front view, turn on my preview, hidden lines visible, scale at 1:1. We come out here to the left click, pull up, left click, pull to my right, left click, and then I'll pull up at a diagonal to get my isometric view. I'm going to hit escape to turn that off. I'm going to left click and drag this one back in, and I'm immediately going to go ahead and focus on this one view here. So clicking inside this box, I want to first add shaded with edges, or you can go ahead and do it without. It's up to you. If you do it that way, I would go ahead and just turn this blue ball on to give a little bit more depth. It's up to you. You could also do it this way. I'd be fine with that also. Now, one of the big things I keep having kids having problems with after you, first of all, change the scale to 1:2, is making sure these black lines are taken off. So I'm going to highlight and hit delete, highlight, hit delete, and do one more highlight and hit delete. Move this up in the corner a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead at this point and add in my, my note. Now I'm going to do the little cheat that we've been talking about in class. I'm going to start by going over my PDF file, highlighting this entire note like so, Control copy, and then coming back over into my SOLIDWORKS drawing. I will start with a note tool and dropping the note below as it's flashing in the cursor here, just do a Control V. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this and center it. And I'm going to highlight this last part here and make sure it's underlined. Now, for the rest of you, I'm not going to do this myself, but you're going to go ahead and type in the last mass for Part 3. You're going to actually type those numbers in. Do not leave them as X's or points will be deducted. Hit my green check mark, adjust the title a little bit, and that looks good. This view is now complete. Hit my F key. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some dimensions on down below here. Okay, so going back to my PDF file, I'm going to start adding these key dimensions in here. Now I'm going to show a trick that may help everyone get this done faster. Okay, and I'll show this also in class. Going back to my drawing, I'm going to go up into, actually, first thing I want to do is make sure I have all my center lines in here. Okay, so I want to make sure I have center lines in here and here. Now, for some reason, your center lines are gone, and this has been happening to a few people. If you don't see these lines through, under your annotation toolbar to the far right, hit the word centerline. Click on the box that says Select View, and then anywhere within the view you want your center lines, left click, and we'll automatically add those in. However, you also will notice we need center marks in our slot tool. Now, we've done this for the last several drawings, so you should be comfortable doing this, but one more time, go to Center Mark and click on one of the arcs. Now the default is to put the center mark right in the center of the slot. And if you look over here to the left where it says slot center marks, that's exactly what it's doing right now, slot center. Go ahead to the next box and go to slot ends. I want a line to connect these two so it goes all the way across. So I'm going to go where it says right here above it, linear center mark, and left click. Now I've got both endpoints taken care of plus a line in between. Hit your check mark. Now going back to dimensions, here's a trick I want to show you. We've been using the smart dimension quite a bit, one dimension at a time. I want to show you how to use what's called model items. And what this will allow us to do is it'll allow us to go ahead and drop in our dimensions into every view and then just adjust them in one shot. Okay. Now right now it says import items into all views, and that's what I'm going to do right now. But I want to do the entire model, not just the selected feature. So I'm going to drop that down and say do the entire model. And then all you need to do is go up here to your check mark and all your dimensions automatically drop in. Now the reason this worked is because when I did my sketching, I put the dimensions in the same spots that I saw on the drawing. Now obviously we're going to have to go in here and clean this up because not all these are in the same spot. If you look, I need to move some things around. Like for instance, the 96 down here has to go away. The 81 back here or whatever it is has to go away. So we're going to make it look just like this, but we'll save ourselves some time here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this down a little bit tighter, make this 36 a little bit wider, that's good. 26 here, move the 12 across, take the 76 and delete it. Keep the 26 and get rid of this 96. So this view is now done, just that quick. Turn my smart dimension on to go from top to bottom here. That gives me my 76 there. So now, just like that, in a matter of 30 seconds, I've got both my front view and my side view, or my right side view done. So looking at my drawing here, there's the 76, 25, 36, 36, 26, 12, all are there. Looking up here, let's go finalize this top view. Okay, my 10 is right where it's supposed to be, right there. There's my 50, 10, 13 are all in the correct spots. Okay, so that makes sure that the back part of this is all done. That 96 I deleted down here, though, I need to add back on here. So going back in here, there's my 18. I'm going to add in from this very back to the very front a 96. And now I see a 50, a 52, and a 70. I'm just going to give them a little bit more space. And look at here, I see a 50, a 52, and a 70. I should see a diameter 15 and an R10. So looking again, I see my diameter 15. I'll put that right here, and then I'm going to take my R10, bring it a little bit tighter. Okay, not sure why that moved. In this case, I may need to do, let me see, quick rebuild. Nope. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one off. I'll just add it back on real quick. Sometimes they get a little funky with you. Just take it off and quickly add it back on. And then don't forget to go to the text box. With caps lock on, type in TYP. And just like that, all my drawing views are done. I'll demonstrate this again in class, and we'll do this on the next several drawings to show you how you can get these drawings done much faster. Pull this up a little bit. That looks good. Okay, so going back to my view, all of my dimensions are in, my note and isometric are in. So the last thing is to add in our title. So we'll call this SWX part drawing -ACC6 part 3. We'll go ahead and do our scale, our name, date, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go here, double click, SWX part drawing, space out of space, ACC6 part 3. Done. Scales 1:1, drawn by your first initial, last name. Today's date, 11/7/19. Period is going to be class I'm currently working in, 2A. And then check by will be myself, Mr. Combs. And at this point, we are done with this drawing. So I'm going to do a quick save. Go ahead and save it as ACC Part 6 or ACC6 Part 3, your last name, and hit save. Make sure to save that with your part file. It makes it a lot easier to find later. Okay, at this point, you're going to do a file print. Make sure you're printing to the correct printer, and go ahead and hit OK. At this point, go ahead to the printer, collect this drawing, take your 3 mass property sheets, put them all together, staple your mass properties to this upper left-hand corner where my arrow is, staple to the back side, and then fold this paper in half and stuff it in the collection box. At this point, ACC 6 is now done. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Otherwise, good luck. We'll see you next class.